most other brands out there use alcohol solvents, contaminants, fillers, pesticides, you know, stuff that's not good, dilutes the quality, which synthetic essential oils benefits are called into question. According to this person on one of my videos, link will be in the description below so you can check that out. I'm just going to read what they said and then provide a reasonable response, provide the other side of the coin, because it's important that we have a little bit more perspective. But this one's a little bit more technical because this person has done their research. I will give them credit. You know who you are. But I'm going to just cover that, and yeah, if you like chemistry, biology, or if you don't like those things, it's going to be covered today anyway, so let's get into it. Okay, this person says, "Hi Lance, yep, synthetics are man-made. I never understood how synthetics were made until I studied chemistry. I envisioned a mad scientist lab creating Frankenstein chemicals that don't exist in nature. And while that's true to some degree, many synthetics can be made just by mixing two things together, and those two things could be from a perfectly natural source. Are we assembling things? Are we mixing things? Or are we isolating compounds, synthesizing them out of other non-organic compounds? I mean, there's probably degrees of what is man-made. I mean, like, you have to define things. And I think this is getting into, like, the whole semantics, which is saying the same thing in a different way, or definitions, which could be totally different depending on the context, not just the word. Getting a little technical, but it's important to understand those differences and, you know, make sure that we're looking at the bigger picture. This person says, one example would be synthesizing vitamin C for supplements. Just mix corn syrup with hydrochloric acid and poof, we have ascorbic acid. This accounts for 97% of the ascorbic acid in vitamins. And that corn syrup is typically from genetically modified corn. That's a whole nother topic. We ain't gonna get into all that today. Okay. Bartenders are constantly mixing, and the product they are using is all natural and distilled from plants, yet a known carcinogen. Ethanol plus ethanol equals ethanol. So not much changes except alcohol content. The rest is just flavoring from food sources. But still, what happens when we mix ethanol with sodium chloride, you may ask? No? Okay. Such as the famous salt-rimmed glass of a margarita. I stopped drinking a while ago, about a couple years ago, but apparently we're going to talk about adult water once again. One would assume it's safe, but what do we make when we mix Na plus C2H5OH? Chemistry, okay, chemistry, like I said, technical today. Keep in mind, all we have to do is strip away one electron from sodium chloride and it makes chlorine. We getting a little too technical. I don't have no charts to show all this. I'm just reading this. So you just try to follow along. You know, you can Google search and verify if you want to. It doesn't take much to change something innocent into something aggressive. Take water, just H2O. Now add just one oxygen. We get H2O2. Which is hydrogen peroxide. The hydrogen peroxide in the grocery store is diluted to 3%. Imagine what pure hydrogen peroxide would be like. This is an example of mixing two naturally occurring substances. Water plus oxygen equals hydrogen peroxide. Alright, so is mixing the same as isolating compounds and synthesizing them from non-organic or non-plant sources? I think not. Okay, so I'm just drawing a distinction. He's basically saying synthetic, man-made equals mixing. And I'm like, yes and no. Like, it depends on what the source is and how you're doing it. I mean, there's some qualifications that need to be up in there. Alright, now goes on to essential oils. Essential oils have a vast chemical composition. That's right, essential oils are natural chemical compounds made from plants or extracted, distilled from plants. They're not synthetically made, meaning they're not from synthetic or isolated compounds. Many constituents. What do we get when we create all these custom blends? I don't have a precise answer. I do. We get essential oil blends from plants that are non-synthesized. But I can assure you, we are synthesizing. So while we are condemning synthetics. Okay, so synthetics and synthesizing, are those the same thing? I mean, we might need to bust out a dictionary up in here, but anyways, we are making our own. Yeah, but the source is it from a plant-based source? Was it from a plant-based source and it was like chemically matched with other stuff to not make it plant-based source anymore? Like what percent is plant-based anymore? I mean, let's talk about that. But he's not, so I am. Let's take this one step further. I think we've already taken as far as we need to. But let's continue reading their comments. EO fans like to diffuse. What happens when we diffuse essential oils on a high ozone day? Understand, indoor ozone levels can be 20 to 70% of outdoor levels. Terpenes plus ozone equals formaldehyde. This is an example of synthesizing formaldehyde with essential oils. So he's basically trying to like say, look, man-made and synthetics ain't no better than essential oils, especially the blends. And I'm like, time out. Okay, time out. Using a lot of other analogies or stories or anecdotal evidence to try to prove that point, but at the same time, again, we got to go off of source and definitions before we really start to like trying to draw similarities and differences from a super objective way. Anyways, closes with, for those who dislike synthetics, my recommendation is to let peppermint oil be peppermint oil. Don't change it. All these custom blends are man-made creations. Just food for thought, you know, just dropping that, this person says. My best wishes to everyone who has read this. And my best wishes to everyone who has saw this. It says, let peppermint oil be peppermint oil. Well, peppermint oil can't be peppermint oil until it's steam distilled from the peppermint leaf. Most other brands out there use alcohol solvents, contaminants, fillers, pesticides, you know, stuff that's not good, dilutes the quality, which affects the ability to produce consistent results, which negatively affects your experience. So, you know, it's important to really understand what's going on, right? And make sure that, oh goodness, the whole synthetic versus natural discussion, the natural chemical versus the synthetic chemical discussion, again, it's going to be based on the sourcing of the ingredients and what percent makeup that is in the final product, as well as the definitions we're using. You have synthesizing, you have isolating compounds, you have synthetics, you have man-made, you have natural, you have plant-based. You know, these terms have been used a lot, but what do they really mean? That's what we would need to define in order to make sure we're all on the same page. But, you know, this video is kind of just a summary of that and to kind of get the conversation started. Alright, well that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the like button if you did. Share this video with somebody that would benefit from it. And make sure to click the links in the description below so you can continue to get your learn on. And I will see you in the next video.